As we've wrapped up our focus on the Brahma Viharas and move into the holding environment, which feels really right for a month of the holidays and the new year, I wanted to focus a little bit on what I've experienced as some common pitfalls in our practice. Ways that I can sometimes come to the cushion with what I might think of as the right intention or the right view, but often can be an energy of striving or judgment or not wanting unpleasant experience, attachment to outcomes in my practice, believing that I need to get something or get rid of something in order to be really mindful, or that I need to arrive at some place of mindfulness and never leave it, never tip out of it. I just want to see if anyone may have ever felt that way ever in your practice. Yeah, so this is really common and not to be judged, but I just wanted to bring some curiosity together about noticing how when the mind approaches the practice from that place, it can kind of erode our holding environment and undermine the practice and can contribute to those kind of cycles of striving and defeat that we can experience sometimes. I was in a retreat recently with Michelle McDonald and Jessie Macio Vega Frey, and I was so moved and helped by how much repeated encouragement there was to be gentle with ourselves, to pace, to view rests and breaks as part of the practice, right? And to not try to control what's happening or really get something out of our practice in a sort of extractive way. And during that retreat, I had what felt like really important moments, just a few, where I was able first to notice, as we do, I was able to kind of have those moments of becoming awake to what the mind was doing. Great, right? When I would kind of become awake to that, oh, right, I'm meditating, what's happening? My mind was often in, as it is, either planning mind or a lot of actually reviewing and replaying. It was right after Thanksgiving and I had hosted. So, 1,000 times in the first few days was, why didn't you reheat the mashed potatoes enough and things like that, just on and on. And so there were moments of noticing that, waking up to that. But then also, and I think this was partly the sort of frame that they set, that I was able in moments to then be welcome and non-aversive to the reviewing mind. Right? Just moments where I really felt and saw that the mind that was doing that was not a problem and was not in the way, but was actually something that could be observed and cared for, and maybe even appreciated and understood. And that may sound like a small thing, but it feels really big. It's a big step to notice, first of all, but then to kind of not view what we're noticing as in the way of our practice or in the way of being mindful. But actually, that as we become aware of our distracted mind or planning mind, that's our doorway to caring, to mindfulness. And a big piece about this, or what helps this, I think, is really looking at the expectations that we can unintentionally bring into the practice. And the bar that we can sometimes set for ourselves that is not quite realistic or kind. And so, do we really trust? How much do we trust that mindfulness is really not about trying to get to a place where there's an absence of unpleasant or difficult or painful experiences? Not eradicating the hindrances forever and ever. I know I need to hear that a lot. And Bill says it frequently, right? He's often saying, we're not getting rid of anything here. We're not getting rid of anything here. Not getting rid of the hindrances, not getting rid of the self or a sense of self. We're becoming aware of them. And that awareness, mindful awareness, Susan often says, posture of caring attention. That's what's really important, that relationship. Michelle McDonald often describes it as an awareness that's infused with wisdom, infused with love, infused with the Brahmaviharas. And that's really the holding environment and the intention that I do want to practice with, right? Notice what it's like when the hindrances, say, are present. What does it feel like when my sense of self was really present in my reviewing of Thanksgiving? So much selfing. I actually want to see and feel that and learn from that. But it's not from wanting it to stop, because that is then just aversion. And so, as the Buddha taught on talking about the hindrances, for example, when restlessness and remorse are present, the monk knows there is restlessness and remorse in me. Or when restlessness and remorse are absent, he knows there is no restlessness and remorse in me. So I wanted to share just two phrases that have helped me with this a little bit in continuing to support practicing with a holding environment that has some right size expectations and kind intention. And one is from the meditation teacher Thanissara. And she offered this phrase, just this much, in a retreat that I was in more than a decade ago, and it really has stayed with me. So just this much. When I come to the cushion and the mind can really believe, I need to be mindful the whole time, and it's bad when I'm not. And when I get off the cushion, I should keep being mindful and present. It's bad when I'm not. And to bring it down to just this much, that's all I'm doing. Maybe the beginning of an in-breath. Do I have any chance of being present with myself, present with just that beginning of the in-breath, or the transition to the out-breath? Or after the bell rings, just as we begin to open our eyes, just that much kind of gives myself an actual chance. And it helps me slow down and keep from falling into that kind of discouragement and defeat because I can't be mindful for an entire sit or for a whole time I'm doing the dishes. Right? Maybe one pass, maybe. And I also think it can be helpful on the cushion, that phrase, just this much, when we're on the cushion and what is arising or showing up is particularly difficult, a painful or strong emotion or a very unpleasant sound or sensation. So just this much kind of invites that mindful titration. Can I be with just this much of it? Just a drop with some measure of open-heartedness. So I'm not automatically moving away out of aversion, but I'm also not forcing myself to be with it because I think that's what I should do. That's what mindfulness is. And then if we can't be with it and the mindfulness kind of starts to drop and the holding environment starts to contract, we have choices. We can go back to the anchor, to hands resting, soft release of the out breath, a phrase, just this much, or even may I be patient, present with what's here. And the second phrase, this was said during that last retreat, was, what if we saw every moment as having intrinsic value? What if we saw every moment as having intrinsic value? And I really want to weave that into my holding environment because it brings a little bit of openness and curiosity right away and lowers my expectations, right? It's not just mindful moments have intrinsic value or calm moments, but every moment So those moments during the retreat where I really was caught in that kind of evaluative, reviewing, replaying, what if noticing that just as it was and letting it be had intrinsic value? And so we can sort of notice what's happening. And as Susan says, when we notice it, that moment of waking up, Susan often says, gold star for noticing. And this next step of when we notice, how quickly do we fall into judgment or evaluation of what's there, think something else should be happening? And can we really hold that how we're relating to what's noticing is so important? And knowing that we're going to move in and out of that, move in and out of caring attention. We'll move in and out of awareness infused with wisdom. It will be awareness infused with aversion. That's okay. Um, and so as we notice that, right, have we lost that sense of just this much? That's all. Not making it bigger, or have we lost the sense of every moment having intrinsic value? And that can be a great moment to slow down or anchor again, soften. And this really is skillful means reorienting in a wise and compassionate way, checking what are we actually expecting out of our practice and from ourselves, and is that realistic and mindful? So wanted to offer this just as an invitation in what is often a very difficult month for all of us. So thank you so much for your attention, and let's really gently practice together. And it can be so helpful to really give time for that transition, those in-between places, right now, right? We're moving from listening and taking in to setting up a posture, maybe moving a little bit, seeing where tension has built up. Maybe we've lost connection with the breath. Want to invite a few deeper breaths. Might help to stretch the arms, the shoulders, the spine. Can always help to shake out a little bit. Maybe notice any sensations you can of the body sitting, the space around the body, the warmth or coolness of the air. Maybe the support of the chair cushion underneath you. The crown of the head very gently lifting or lengthening up. Inviting ourselves back into this practice, and the practice as it is in this moment, this day. See what feels right as an anchor. Could be the breath, might be sounds. Or maybe you want to bring in a phrase, Brahmavihara phrase, or maybe the phrase just this much. Just as something to very gently come back to. something that helps reorient the mind to this moment, to patience. To awareness infused with wisdom and kindness. Just this much. Just this much. Every moment having intrinsic value. Can the noticing, the awakening to what's here, be an opportunity for awareness infused with kindness and wisdom? Mm.